Shout out to my boy Mike. He's a great follow on Twitter. If you guys aren't following him, make sure you do. But after last night's game, he asked, maybe this is the loss that gets the Bulls fans like myself who aren't on board with tanking, if it gets them to agree that it's the best strategy going forward. I still don't think tanking's a great strategy for this team, and I got two reasons why. Reason number one, I don't think we really can. Tanking would involve selling off our assets, and I don't think we can sell off our assets. I think with the new CBA, nobody's trading for Zach LaVine. His contract is impossible to move. It was really hard to move with the old CBA. It's impossible to move now. So we're stuck with Zach LaVine. We saw that Nuggets rumor fizzle out pretty quickly. Then you look at Nikola Vucevic. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he's kind of turned into a pumpkin. He's kind of turned back into last season Vuce over the last couple weeks or so. And if we're noticing that, everybody else is noticing that. So I don't think anybody's going to trade for him. You heard the Warriors don't really have interest in him, and it's because his play has reverted back to what we saw last year. He's more reliant on that three the last couple of games. His body language is terrible, and he's getting terrible technical fouls, horrible technical fouls, and other teams are definitely noticing that. So I don't think there's a market for him out there either. Our most tradable pieces, maybe somebody will take Torrey Craig on, but we're talking a second-round pick at that point. And we don't even really play the dude minus when we need a miracle against the Charlotte Hornets. So trading him off isn't going to make an impact. Same with Javon Carter. Ayo Dosunmu, that would make a huge impact on this team. He's our most tradable asset. They're not going to do it. If they traded Ayo Dosunmu, yeah, we could tank because that would drastically affect this team. Not going to happen, though. Kobe White, I think his value is probably diminished as well. We're not going to see a trade for him. So everybody wants us to trade, wants us to tear it down. I just don't see options where it's possible to tear it down. So that's reason number one why I'm not on board with tanking, because I don't think it's feasible. I don't think it's really possible for this team. We're not going to bench Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. I think the NBA has rules against that anyways. So I don't think it's happening. Reason number two, tanking sets a bad precedent for the young players. And I'm talking specifically about Matas Buzelis here. Look at what the Sixers did with the process. They tanked for years and years and years. And those young players that they got, Jahlil Okafor, Markelle Fultz, on and on down the line, they never became sustainable NBA players because they came up in a losing environment. They came up in a tanking environment. Part of the problem with Joel Embiid is he came up in a tanking, in a losing environment. So he never got that dog in him. He never got that killer instinct. He never got that competitiveness, that winning attitude. So I think there's a direct correlation behind Joel Embiid's attitude and his lack of postseason success in the environment that he came up in, the tanking environment he came up in. I think Matas Buzelis has a hell of a ceiling. I wasn't sold on the draft pick at the time, but he has completely changed my mind. I'm high on the kid. I don't want to stunt his development by having him come up in a losing, tanking environment. So play the kid more. Let him play with Zach LaVine, with Nikola Vucevic. Just get the kid more minutes. We don't need to tank and have him come up around losing players, around G League players, around guys who aren't going to be in the NBA much longer. Who aren't going to be into the league much longer. So that's my 2 cents on tanking. Once again, I'm not arguing with what Mike says. I'm just shouting it out because I think he's a great follow. I think he makes a good point. Those are just 2 reasons that I'm against any kind of tanking from the Chicago Bulls. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. What direction should the Bulls go in?